Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ben, and in this episode of the Smoking Hot Confessions Barbecue Podcast, we're talking to the man behind one of the most iconic barbecue joints in the country. Hi family, I hope you're well wherever you are and you got that thin blue smoke rolling. Today we're talking to Chris Terlikar from Blue Bonnet Barbecue in Melbourne. Now, dating back to 2013, Chris has trained under legendary pitmasters in the USA, and he's used that knowledge to create a barbecue icon in Australia. Now, before we do bring Chris in, I've just got a couple of announcements I need to run by you first. First up, I want to thank Jagged for coming on board as our podcast partner for this episode. They are smoker manufacturers based out of Western Australia, so if you're in the market for a new smoker or a sourdough grill, they do some fantastic work. I've got one of their smoker ovens in the yard at the moment. I'm creating a video series for them, and it is really, really good. So do get on board, check them out if you are in the market for a new smoker grill, or you got a custom kitchen job you need designed as well. There's pretty much nothing they can't do. Now, if you're just at the beginning of your journey, head on over to SmokingHotConfessions.com because we got a free ebook available for you. It's the Beginner's Guide to Real Barbecue. Now, this was recently awarded at the NBBQA conference over in the United States, so it's a really good read and it's got all the information you need to know to go from zero to hero in the backyard. So no more burnt steaks, no more burnt sausages, just delicious, juicy smoked meats. And a big welcome this afternoon to those people joining us in the Smoking Hot Confessions barbecue community over on Facebook. If you're looking for a group that's all about barbecue, all the guff is left at the door and everyone is welcome, this is the group for you, and it's also where we do these live podcast recordings. So it's a benefit of being a member of the group is you get to participate in these live recordings. So you can pop questions in the comments and I can put them to Chris during the episode. It's really cool. Now, if you are watching this later on the socials, if you're on Facebook, give us a like, a comment, and a share. If you're watching on YouTube, it's all about thumbs up, subscribes, and little notification bells. On IGTV, we love those cute little love hearts. They're so adorable. Give us a comment and follow us as well. And if you are listening in on a podcasting app, do give us a 5-star rating and review. It really helps to push us up the charts and helps us spread our message of barbecue love. But I think that's about all the spruiking you need from me. Let's get Chris in here.
This is the internationally awarded Smoking Hot Confessions Barbecue Podcast with your host, Ben Arnott. How long's it been since your last confession?
Chris, mate, welcome to the confessional. It is good to have you here.
G'day, Ben. How you going?
Mate, I'm really good. I'm enjoying the school holidays. I'm getting to spend a lot of time talking to people about barbecue, so life is good.
Excellent.
So, mate, I always start off these episodes with the same question, but given that you run a barbecue joint, I'm going to change it just a little bit. What was the last food that you barbecued for yourself?
Oh, God.
Or do you even cook barbecue for yourself anymore?
I don't actually. I live above the restaurant, so the only smoking I can do is in the actual kitchen. So yeah, we don't have a patio or anything like that to smoke anything on. I've got about 3 smokers in storage, so I can't even fit any of them where I'm living. So
yeah, right. That does make it a bit more difficult. But I suppose if you do have all those smokers and whatnot just downstairs in the restaurant, it is pretty convenient.
Yeah. I mean, the last thing I would have had here would have been the brisket, but I only taste a little bit of it. Every now and then. I never really sit down and eat barbecue anymore. You know, after 6 or 7 years, you get a little bit, you know, I'm not sick of it, but you know, you get that little money muscle every now and then, and you're like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah, I can certainly understand that. It would be quite difficult. They always say, you know, it's the mechanic's car that needs the most work done, and the painter's house that needs the new coat of paint. So I can certainly understand that.
Yeah, definitely.
So those barbecues that you mentioned that you have in a storage shed, what are they, and which one's your favourite?
All right, so I've got how many have I got in total? I've got one in the kitchen, which is the big Ole Hickory, that we can fit about a ton of meat in there at once. I think it's something like 46 briskets at once, which is all rotisserie, wood fired or rotisserie. Then I've got another 2,000 litre offset, which I built it to open another space, another pop-up, but it didn't end up happening. I'm just going to move my camera around here a little bit. I can't figure out which angle I'm going on. There we go. That's it. So yeah, then we got so the rusty old 2,000 litre one. That's a little bit scary to use because we've got this counterweight on it. And it's just held on by a cable. Last time I used it, the cable actually frayed on me, and I was a little bit worried about that after seeing all the weights drop off the end of it. And then I've got another one, which is it was a 2,000 litre tank, which was a big 3-door. That was the one that we had in on the original one in Johnson Street that caught fire. So we got that rebuilt, and I ended up turning that into a single door and a double door. I sold the double door to a mate of mine in Tassie, and then the single door I've still got. That's on the back of my food trailer at the moment, the new food trailer that we bought. So it's actually way too heavy. It shouldn't be on there. It's about 600 kilos. So I'm actually going to get another cabinet smoker for the back of it. And then I've got just a little domestic Yoda.
Nice collection there. And I actually have a funny feeling that I met the guy that bought the smoker in Tasmania from you at the Hobart Blues and Barbecue Festival in 2019. Would that timing line up right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it would have been Clinton Gresham.
That was him, yes.
Yeah, it was at Harlequin or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, funny how just how small the world can be sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you mentioned money muscle there before. Is that your favourite barbecue protein to eat?
Yeah, I love my favorite piece of any barbecue is on the point end, just on the fattier side, just that tiny little end piece where you've got like all the fat on there and all the marbling through it. That's definitely 100% my favorite piece.
Oh, hard to argue with that. Yeah. So, man, tell me, how did you get into barbecue?
So I was working in New York as a chef, and I had my first barbecue experience at Hill Country in New York, and yeah, I mean, I was with a mate of mine. We were both working in high-end restaurants, and I just turned around and I just said, what the hell are we doing? Like, why are we slaving our asses in the kitchen? I mean, it's not like we don't do that now anyway, but all of the effort that goes into fine dining and all that, like it just seemed pointless when I had barbecue for the first time. I was just like, this is incredible. Like, why haven't I tried this before? So yeah, so I decided to bring that back to Melbourne because I think there were three of us doing it. I know Big Boy was the first in Melbourne, and then there was Hanks. I think it was about a tie between Hanks and I.
Yeah, right. Okay. And so that was your introduction to Low and Slow. Now, you mentioned Hill Country there. Is that the famous Hill Country rubs and sauces as well? Is that all the one business? Do you know?
I'm not too sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you. Sorry.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. And so what was it about Low and Slow that just made you really fall in love with it?
Oh, I guess it was I really like in the beginning it was really different for me, cooking outside and like, all using all wood fired, the simplicity of it all, the challenge of it all as well, because the first ones you do, you're like, what am I doing wrong, and then it's just all about consistency and technique. After that, it's just, you season the same, you trim where you need to trim, and you make it streamlined. You bring it up to 150, and then you wrap it, and then and then take it off at 203, or between 200 and 203. That's like, that takes a long time to actually uh, find that out for yourself. It's and not only that, and then I guess it's also, with brisket, you don't need, like, eventually you don't need to use a thermometer. You stick your finger underneath the fatty part of the point end, and you're like, oh yeah, that feels pretty done, when you can feel the grain sort of moving. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going way off topic here, aren't I?
No, not at all. Not at all. I love it.
Yeah, I guess that's why I like it.
Fair enough. Yeah. Now, something else that you're quite into is sausage making. Tell us about your endeavors in sausage making.
Yeah, well, sausage making was part of our, we try to do everything a little bit different here. I guess because I've come from that kind of background in restaurants, I guess we're not your sort of traditional barbecue restaurant. We do keep the sides very different and kind of creative and original. All of the meats are, I guess, pretty true to Texas style barbecue. Sausages are just kind of a thing that we can play around with and get creative with. So I guess that's where it's come from. I've got a chef in there at the moment. His name's Han. He's a Korean guy. He's been with me for about 2.5 years, and he's next level. Like, his sausages are so much better than mine. And I'm like, every time I go back into the kitchen, because I'm only in there, once or twice a month these days. Actually have, like, cooking barbecue, like, from big morning till night. And yeah, every time I get back in the kitchen, I try and beat him. They're just, I think they're not as good. He's next level. Like, he freezes everything. He weighs everything to the T, to a perfect ratio. So yeah. But yeah, sausages. Yeah, I guess sausages are just our way of, being a little bit creative with meats.
So what sort of things do you like to do? Are you sort of mixing the different proteins? Like, are you putting, pork and chicken together in a sausage and then putting some Australian herbs in there, or are you sticking to more sort of Texan flavor profiles in the sausages?
We kind of do whatever, like, we have our classics that we sort of keep on, like a kielbasa is that makes a pretty common appearance on the menu. And then we've got the, your jalapeno cheddar, beef jalapeno cheddar. That's another one that's that comes back all the time. But we kind of just, I guess, if we can find something special, which we usually do, we go through a company called Discovered Wild Foods, and they just do, like, they go out and they hunt all the game and sell it to restaurants. There, I think there's only 2 of them in Australia that can actually do it. But they have, like, wallaby and venison, like wild goat. So we do a lot of stuff with wild, like with game, with those guys. Like, so we'll do a venison sausage every now and then, and that sort of stuff.
That sounds really interesting. What goes well in a venison sausage?
I've done it before with Tasmanian pepperberry and cherry, which is a really good combo. Also, like a cherry juniper and venison. But we always kind of put 30% pork fat in there just to balance it out a little bit. Otherwise, it's just a little bit too dry.
Yeah, fair enough. I've always been told that about 30% is the right mix, but whenever I try and make sausages at home, they just come out terrible. I don't know if it's me or the machine I've got. It's probably me, but
Why is that? What what happens?
the sausages come out sort of like about as thick as my little finger, regardless of what size sort of casing or nozzle I've got. And then when they cook out really dry, almost like a meat stick that you'd buy at a butcher or a supermarket and just sort of chew on in the car while you're driving.
Okay.
So I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
So we've got a ratio. We just use a ratio. We use a ratio of 70% meat, 30% fat, 0.25% curing salt, and 1.5% salt, 10% liquid.
Oh, okay.
And that's it. That's that. Every sausage we put in the smoker is done by that ratio.
Oh, well, thank you for the tip. I'm going to write that down and give that a crack next time I'm making sausages. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I did find when I was doing some research into you and your restaurant is that you actually had the opportunity to train under Tom Micklethwait and Evan LaRoy. Tell us about that experience. How did that come about?
So that was I don't remember what year that was. It was before I started Bluebonnet. So I guess I wanted to go and learn how to do it from the people who knew it best, I guess. So yeah, I went over to Austin for 3 months and just basically interned at Micklethwait Craft Meats. So I was there for the longest. I think I was there, 6 weeks or something like that, and did about 3 weeks with Evan at which used to be Friedman's. He's doing his own thing now, which is LaRoy and Lewis. But So I guess Tom was kind of the inspiration there with the sausage making, because that's kind of what he's really well known for and what he does really well. So I guess he actually was the one who. He was actually the one who Evan was the one who gave me the sausage ratio, but Tom gave me a bunch of, like, a massive file of sausage recipes. So
wow, that's generous.
Yeah, it was. I guess I'm not in the same state or the same country as him, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's not it's not ultra competitive, is it?
No.
So what was the some of the highlights of those experiences working with those legends?
I guess it was kind of just seeing how that whole kind of world is over there, like those guys are getting up at, they're starting work at 1 a.m. and finishing at, midday or no, not even, we go until like 3 p.m. So, we're starting at 1 a.m. and, finishing service at 3 p.m. And it's just, I guess that was the most surprising thing for me, to see that they actually, like, I know that some people don't do it like that. Some people, they bank their firebox overnight and then come in early in the morning. But to see, like, people just, the guys like Tom, prepping from 1 a.m. until the Rosewood trailer opened up at midday or whatever it was, or 11 o'clock. And then doing service is just like, and every single thing on his menu, on Tom's menu, was everything was scratch made. Everything and everything was made on the day, because all they had was a tiny little trailer. So they'd go and buy their meat at night, and then prep all the sides during the day. I mean, in the morning. So it's another world. It's not how we could never do it like that here. It's impossible. But then again, he's doing it from a tiny little caravan, so it's like, how is it not possible for us to do it? If he can do it, yeah, it's crazy how he did it. Yeah, maybe Tom's just a little crazy to do it.
Well, mate, that sounds like an experience that most of us would absolutely kill for. What do you think was the biggest lesson that you learnt from all that?
I guess it was. I didn't really learn to cook barbecue from those guys. I learned their technique, but you can't cook 60 briskets in a cook after working 2 months with these guys. Like, it's not. So I don't know. I guess it was. I guess the most important thing that I learned from them was more about fire control than anything, because it takes a lot longer than 2 months to understand how to cook a brisket perfectly. So I think it was more about fire controlling the fire, which is what I learnt off them the most, I would say, and just little things like where to place your meat in the smoker, sort of finding your hot spots, all that sort of stuff, but not so much on learning the ins and out of how to cook meat.
Yeah, so I guess if 60 briskets a day for 2 months wasn't enough for you to feel like you'd mastered the brisket, at what point did you feel like you had mastered the brisket? Like, how many briskets would that be?
I think we started getting really good after about 2 years, I would say. Like, I was happy with it after about 2 years. It was good, but we've changed our methods so many times. We've changed our methods so many times to get it right. So it's not even about like it was never right the first time. It was always it was okay, but it's also about being able to have a bit of work-life balance as well, because you can't just you can't slave away. When I first started, I was in Johnson Street. I used to live upstairs there as well, and I used to sleep next to the fire. I had a little mattress that I put out because I'd be cooking overnight. I'd be setting an alarm every 2 hours to wake up beside the smoker and put another couple of logs on there. That's not a sustainable life.
No.
So I guess it's I guess what I'm trying to say is that we used to bank the firebox, but we don't do that anymore because we had a fire. And by bank the firebox, I mean load it up overnight and let it burn out through the night. I guess just finding the balance on how to have a bit of a life and how to make sure that our brisket is perfect every time.
If you're looking for your next barbecue smoker or grill, Jagged Wood Fired has got what you need. Owners Julianne and Glenn are multiple award-winning barbecue competitors who've even travelled to the US to compete at the World Barbecue Championships in Houston, Texas. Based out of Perth and shipping nationwide, Jagged is one of the largest pit builders in the country and has an ever-growing lineup of meat cooking machinery. Not only do they have their now famous smoker ovens, their incredibly efficient gravity-fed cabinets are proving extremely popular in commercial settings, and they also make some of the most stylish asado grills you're ever going to see. Jagged is also well known for amazingly detailed custom work ranging from backyard designs all the way to installations in commercial kitchens. Proudly Australian designed, owned and manufactured, you can find out more at jaggedwoodfired.com.au, spelled Jagrd. Once again, head to jaggedwoodfired.com.au, spelled Jagrd, to learn more.
Got a project you'd like to work on with the SHC team? Shoot Ben an email on ben@smokinghotconfessions.com and let's have a conversation.
Alrighty, mate. Now it's time to take a deep dive into Bluebonnet itself. Now, first of all, if you've been watching the show, then you know that I'm fascinated with names, and I was really intrigued when I was researching your restaurant to find out the significance of the name. So would you like to tell us what that is?
Yeah, so I didn't know either. It's actually a funny story. A guy that I met in Austin when I was there for the first time, we were at in line at Franklin Barbecue of all places, and he said, what are you going to call your place? And I said, I've got no idea. He's like, why don't you call it Bluebonnet? And I'm like, what's Bluebonnet? He said, it's the state flower of Texas. So yeah, he actually gave me the name for it. So, but there's another one that's just opened up in just outside of Austin now.
With the same name?
Yeah, with the same name. We were first though, so that's all right.
And I hope you got the international trademark on the name, and so you've got a nice lawsuit coming his way to get that fat stack of brisket cash in.
Yeah, be well worth it, I'm sure.
So, mate, tell us about the origin of Bluebonnet. So you started in 2013. How did it come about? So you were in New York at one stage. You must have decided to come back to Australia. Start from there. How did you get into Bluebonnet?
So our first one was actually in 2012. That was I was working at a little cafe, and they decided to close for Christmas, and I basically just said to them, can I rent your cafe for 6 weeks while we close, and they were fine with that. So I actually got the first smoker built with my tax return that year. So it was, I think I got a $2,000 tax return, and I was like, cool, all right, I'll get a smoker and I'll start doing pop-ups. And I guess I had no idea what I was doing, of course, but I mean, we are where we are now, so there's a lot of hard work that's gone into it, but yeah. I started off at doing pop-ups in 2012, and then kind of just moved around the city a little bit. Worked at did a pop-up at the Beaufort, which used to be Ike's Rack Shack, which I opened that one as well. Just kind of just moved around the city. And then I was like, I'm probably going a little bit too personal here, but had no money for my to move out, so I to find another place. I didn't have bond or rent or anything like that. Working as a chef, 10 years ago, the pay was pretty bad. I ended up finding this, what used to be an old bar, and I was like, oh, I'll just stay up there. I can smoke in the backyard and do pop-ups around town. And then about a month or two after that, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? A restaurant downstairs. I could turn this into a restaurant. I was like worried about like going around town making $500 a night doing tiny little pop-ups. So yeah, I ended up just calling my folks, and we all got in there, and I did it on a shoestring budget, which was the only money that I had from doing pop-ups. We basically, my parents came down, my brother came down, and we all just kind of built everything ourselves. And then we had a fire there, which was caused by that 3-door smoker that I mentioned earlier. The weld on the back of the firebox was about that wide. So all of the coal sort of came out of that and poured onto the neighbour's fence, and took the neighbour's furniture store down next door and took out our place. So yeah, it's pretty brutal. So yeah, that was a big hit. Um, uh, and then yeah, we did another pop up after that at the Curtin Hotel, John Curtin in Carlton,
Hmm.
which was great. It was awesome for those guys to have us there, but it just wasn't profitable at all. Um, so yeah, I guess it was at the end of the Curtin Hotel was kind of like I've either got to really like do something about this, or I'm gonna go bankrupt, more or less. Um, so
I think
yeah,
we call that a come to Jesus moment.
yeah, I would definitely call it that. Yeah. I was just looking online for a place and saw an old pub that was super cheap rent, short-term lease, and yeah, we set up. It probably took us about 6 weeks to set that up. Same deal. Got some friends involved this time though, and some old staff, uh, and the parents. And yeah, we just did the renovations ourselves again. Kind of just worked with what we had, I guess. And yeah, that was Fitzroy North, and it was a massive success. Um, yeah, so yeah, we're at our fourth or fifth venue, whatever it is now. I've lost count, but this is the one we've signed a 20-year lease here,
Wow.
and yeah, we did it all properly here, full fit out, empty shell, ripped, basically tore everything out. But yeah, I kind of walked into this place and it had low suspended ceilings, and it looked horrible. Um, and then I popped one of the ceiling panels, and you can see it. I'll see if you can see it here. But it had
Oh,
all
it's all
these like
hardwood flooring.
timber. Yeah, and all up here as well. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, a beautiful building once you take away all the office ceiling paneling. So yeah, sorry, I'm losing you there. So yeah, this having trouble with my camera here. There we go. So yeah, we found this place, and this is the final resting home for now. We're looking at getting into retail later on and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, waiting for the festival season to get back up as well.
Yeah, so do you break out the semi-retired food trailer and head out to do the festival circuit and all that as well?
Well, yeah, I bought an old 1971 International C1300. That used to be an old camera van for Channel 9 once upon a time.
Cool.
And so I've had that for the last 4 years, and that's kind of what we used to set up in. But oh man, it's hard work in that thing. So yeah, we just bought a new food trailer, like a smoker trailer. So with a patio on the back,
Oh
patio
yeah,
and
yeah.
a smoker on the back. Yeah. So yeah, we've taken it out twice now, just waiting for everything to open up again so we can get it out. And yeah,
I'm jealous that you got one of those porch trailers. They're really cool. I fell in love with them in America, and they're
yeah,
so price prohibitive over here in Australia if you're not already a commercial venture.
yeah. Well, I actually found that like I bought it on the auctions, and it had about 90. I saw it had about 90 seconds to go, and I was like, I just paid, just went, sure, let's do it. And then I was like, I'll figure out how to pay for that later.
Yeah, yeah. Sounds like a high pressure sale to me. Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of smokers that you're running in the restaurant there, I saw online that you've got an Ole Hickory Pit. So you must have imported that from the US.
There was actually one of them in Melbourne at the time. I got pretty lucky with that. I think it was Alex from Ole Hickory was down in Melbourne trying to find a distributor. That's what I'm assuming. He was probably trying to find. He might have been trying to find a distributor because there are a couple of them in Australia. Only maybe three or four or something like that. I know Joel Romo has got one up at JR's.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure Santelmo have them as well. Maybe either that or a Southern Pride. I don't know actually if they have one, but yeah. And I think Wes from Bovine and Swine had a smaller sort of cabinet one.
Yeah, right. And so, why did you choose the Ole Hickory? Was it purely the real estate inside?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we wouldn't have room in this place for offsets. Yeah, I mean, I've got enough smokers to be able to bring them all in and cook for everyone, but we don't have the space.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, it's definitely the height that you've got that height advantage from the Ole Hickory, the rotisseries.
I was going to ask, was it one of the rotisserie models, and is it the double doors on the front?
Yeah, double door, AXL DX, I think it is, or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think they've got something similar at Salt Lick. They've got the big, the big rotisserie, the double wides, I think they call them.
Yep. Yeah, we've got one very similar.
Yeah, so they're a really interesting pit, and online it says you can do 500 kilos of meat a day. That's phenomenal. That feels like a huge amount.
At least, yeah, yeah, it's massive. Yeah, a lot more than what we used to be able to do.
And is that day in, day out?
No. No, definitely not day in, day out. I wish we were selling that much. No, I guess we kind of do around, like, we have 8 different meats on the menu, and I guess we do, on average, on a busy night, we do 12 5-kilo briskets, about 8 pork shoulder, 60 ribs. Yeah, quite a bit, a couple of 100 kilos.
That's pretty cool, yeah. And so, of those 12 meats that you're serving every night, what's the most popular item off the menu?
Oh, brisket, without a doubt. Yeah, brisket and sausage. Yeah, they're probably the two. Pork ribs are always popular as well. Yeah.
Beautiful. I am quite partial to a pork rib myself. Now, one thing that I did want to ask you, and it's kind of a broad scale kind of question, about Melbourne itself. There's so many iconic barbecue locations down there. You've got yourself, you've got Q Club, and then the whole industry's included. You've got Cha 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 Butchery, Kelly's Meats. You mentioned Lance Rosen before. There's Southern Grace Diner. Why do you think barbecue's done so well in Melbourne? I mean, Melbourne really seems to be like the hub of the barbecue movement in Australia.
I don't know. Maybe because it was kind of, I guess it took off here in the beginning. I don't know. Maybe people saw, it's like when the burger craze hit Melbourne. I guess, once one person sees it and they see that it's profitable and you can make money and all that sort of stuff, people kind of go for it as well, right? We've got quite a few here, but yeah, I don't know, and I'm not no disrespect to anyone, but my motto was always, as long as you do it, as long as you're doing it well. When I started, I was just like, I don't give a shit if I'm the busiest. I just want to be the best. That's how I started the whole thing. Like, that was my mentality, which soon changed because then I wanted to be the busiest because I wasn't making any money. So yeah. But I don't know. I guess people saw the popularity of it in Melbourne, and that's kind of how that's just for restaurants anyway. But we've also got Hanks and the Q Club and us, and all the other great barbecue restaurants in Melbourne. So there's you can learn to do it quite easily yourself here, because you don't have to, you can go out and pick up a smoker whenever you want, really, outside of the pandemic.
Yeah, you don't have to travel to Austin for 3 months and work somewhere for free to learn how to do it anymore. You can. There's a lot more knowledge in-house here in Australia.
Well, that's right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, of all the years that you've been involved in barbecue, what has been the biggest challenge that you've had to face, and how did you overcome it?
Do you mean business-wise or
anything,
or cooking-wise?
Anything.
Business-wise was taking the ATO seriously.
Ooh, ouch! That sounds like an interesting story.
That was probably my biggest lesson. Yeah, definitely taking the ATO seriously, and being better with business. I had no idea what I was doing when I first started. Absolutely no idea. I don't even think I had an ABN for the first year. So definitely learning the business side before you go into business is a much better idea. That's what I would definitely give any advice to anyone about.
You're listening to the internationally awarded Smoking Hot Confessions podcast with massive barbecue nerd Ben Arnott.
Alrighty, Matt, we're into the third segment of our show now, and this is the part where our guest gets to share some wisdom, impart some knowledge to our listeners and our viewers. And what you wanted to talk to me today about was improving your barbecue by keeping it simple. So I'm going to sort of throw it over to you. I'm just going to listen, maybe write a few notes, a few questions, and I'll chime in every now and again, but it's all yours, mate.
Yeah, so I guess what I meant by that was, what, like I was saying before, everything is kind of like a formula, I guess. If you're cooking outside, it's a little bit different because the weather changes. If it's raining, your smoker's going to take longer to heat up or maintain. It's harder to maintain temp. If it's colder, if it's hotter, all that sort of stuff. But I guess keeping it simple is using a ratio for sausage. That's definitely a massive help for us, because we know that it's going to be perfect every time, as well as your techniques with your sausage. So you have your ratio, you have your techniques. All of your meat needs to be cold. Don't overwork your proteins. All that sort of stuff is amount of fat content. All that sort of stuff is more important than anything for me. The same goes with brisket. We every single time we cook brisket, it's exactly the same. We trim is leave about a half an inch of fat on. Trim as much as we can. Nice and streamlined, so it's aerodynamic in the smoker, so the smoke can pass through it nicely. We use a mixture of apple juice and American mustard. So that's basically, it doesn't do much for flavor or anything like that. It's just it does a little bit for the smoke ring, because you've got that fructose. Fructose has that reaction with the smoke. So yeah, we kind of do a little bit of a wet rub on it, which is the mustard and apple juice, and then simple season with salt, black pepper, and then it's as simple as cooking at 250, making sure you're controlling your temperature, crutching in peach paper at 150, crushing it in peach paper at 150 and then taking it out at 203. That's our it can't get any simpler than that, really. So yeah, that's what it's all about with the meat. We don't try and do too much with it. We have other things on the menu that we also keep really simple, but there's a lot of technique that goes into it. It's about choosing the right product more than anything. When we choose our brisket, we have a really nice marbling. We're actually using one called the Wanderer, which is a barley-fed free range, and it's incredible. Flavor is incredible. Marbling is incredible. So that's probably the best stuff that we've used ever. I would say. I would even say it's better than. I don't need to say names. That's all right. And then we do our pulled lamb as well, which is like a Tasmanian free range lamb, and we just hit that with a really nice Merlot vinegar from a small Victorian producer. Just little stuff like that. It's all about keeping it simple, but just making it really delicious.
Yeah, I like that you're trying to tie in some of those sort of the Australian ingredients there as well. You're talking about the Merlot vinegar and then the free range lamb from Tasmania. So just a couple of things from what you were saying there. Do you pretty much only use salt and pepper in your rubs, or do you like to layer rubs like the comp guys, or how do you go about that?
Salt and pepper. That's pretty much it. We use a wet mop on the pork ribs, but we use everything else is salt and pepper, and then we add a finishing vinegar to it. So for the lamb, we'll add the Merlot vinegar. We sometimes will do like a bull chicken, and we'll do like a Chardonnay vinegar with that. And it kind of really cuts through that fattiness as well.
Yeah, you mentioned goat before, and one of the things that I always found eating goat was that goat had a similar flavour to lamb, but didn't leave that fatty aftertaste in the mouth. So I can understand why the vinegar would be really important there. Why do you wrap with peach paper and not foil?
We actually do both. So we wrap in peach paper first, basically so we don't lose all of that bark, and then we'll wrap in foil just to make it super super tight. So we'll wrap it in peach paper first, as tight as we can get it. But I just find that you get a much better result. You don't lose as much bark off there. It doesn't sweat as much, because the peach paper is obviously porous. So, yeah.
So are they one after the other, or are you like it goes meat, paper, foil in terms of like all at the same time?
Yeah, meat, paper, foil. So we basically lay down 3 layers of foil, lay down the peach paper, brisket in the center, we'll wrap it over, and then just tighten it all up. So it's basically you're wrapping in peach paper, but you're using the foil to like really really like get it super super tight. So
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, and the last thing that I wanted to quickly ask you, a couple of times during this conversation today, you've mentioned free range meats. Why are they so important to you that your meats are all free range?
For me, I swore that I would never use free range brisket until I found it, and that's only because I like a fatty brisket. I mean, everyone does. Like, it's flavor's better, but man, for me, grass fed is not only about how much meat we go through. You kind of, and if you've ever been to a feedlot before, I don't know if you have, but I've been to a couple, and you kind of, as people say, oh, whatever, blah blah blah. I find it really important that you do use free range where you can, because it's it tastes a hell of a lot better. B, they have a much better life. There's no doubt about that. I wouldn't want to be living in a feedlot, that's for sure. So yeah, it's definitely it's an ethical thing, but it's also flavor. It's more expensive, but that's just the way it goes. But I'd prefer to have something on the menu that I'm proud of than having something that I'm not proud of.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense as well, and it's also quite that customers are looking for that now. In this, like in 2021, where we are now, they're looking for these more ethical choices, and more and more businesses and big brands are marketing themselves as green and environmentally friendly and all that sort of stuff. So it's really important from a business perspective as well. So look, mate, that's probably a good point for us to start wrapping up the show. So I'm going to throw the studio over to you now. Give some thanks, give some praise, give some shout outs to people that have helped you out along the way, and make sure you tell all the listeners and the viewers where they can track you down on the internet.
Yep, sure, no worries. So you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram. It's at Bluebonnet BBQ, or you can check out our website at bluebonnetbbq.com.au. And yeah, thank you for having me.
You're welcome, mate. Thank you very much for your time.
Yep. All right. Cheers.
And there you have it, family. That was Chris Terlikar from Bluebonnet Barbecue. What a load of experience that guy's had. Could you imagine what it would be like going to live in Austin for 3 months, to go and intern at some of these famous barbecue restaurants, and then bring all that knowledge home to such a foodie hub that is Melbourne, and just have it explode and become one of the most iconic barbecue scenes in Australia. That's a great story, and I really enjoyed hearing that, and I'm sure that you did as well. So do make sure that you look them up on social media, Bluebonnet Barbecue, and say thanks to Chris. He shared a whole lot of information there, particularly in that last segment, whole lot of cooking tips. I hope you were writing that down. If not, check out the SmokingHotConfessions.com website. Every episode gets a web page, and every episode gets a transcript. So that transcript will be on that web page on our website. So head on over there, check that out as well. Now, before we do wrap this up, just to remind you of the announcements from the top of the episode. If you're in the market for a new smoker or grill, check out Jagged Wood-Fired. Fantastic gear. I've got one right here, and I absolutely love it. The ebook is available for you over on our website. It's the Beginner's Guide to Real Barbecue. It's completely free, and it's going to tell you everything you need to know to get started in the world of low and slow barbecue. Thank you to everybody who joined us in the Smoking Hot Confessions barbecue community over on Facebook. If you're not there yet, come and join us. Everybody's welcome. We leave all the guff at the door. We just hang out and talk about barbecue. It's a really nice place. And if you are catching this later on the socials, do the things. You know the things. The thumbs up, the likes, the shares, the comments, all that sort of stuff. And if you've got a friend in Melbourne who needs to get some good barbecue in their lives, share this episode with them or tag them in the comments under the video. Make sure we get them out there to go see Chris and go try some of that delicious food from Bluebonnet. So that's all that we do have for today. Until next time, take care of each other and keep on queuing.
Thanks for listening to the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. Head on over to SmokingHotConfessions.com for recipes, tips, and Ben's own confessions.